What if the secret to feeling good, like really good, living a truly full life, what if it isn't just about chasing those fleeting moments, but something deeper, something that sort of anchors you, motivates you, maybe even makes you healthier? We're talking about purpose.
That's exactly it. And for this deep dive, we've gathered quite a bit of material, research, articles, different insights. We're pulling from psychology, health studies, even some philosophical angles, all to explore this, well, this profound role purpose seems to play in, fueling happiness, fulfillment, just overall well-being.
Yeah, and our mission today is really to cut through the noise a bit. We want to unpack the key ideas from all these sources we looked at to really get a handle on what purpose means, why the science says it's so incredibly important, and maybe most importantly, give you some practical ways you can actually cultivate it in your own life. Let's figure out what truly matters here.
Okay, so let's start there. This idea of purpose, we hear the word thrown around a lot, but what are we actually talking about? Is it just like finding one massive goal and then that's it forever?
Well, based on what we read, it seems much more fluid than that. Definitely not static. Think of it more like an intention, maybe, a kind of consistent leaning towards meaningful long-term goals, but goals that really resonate with you. It sounds very personal.
Right, and the sources connect it really strongly to your values. That was interesting. One way it was put is that purpose is your values in action. So it's about living in a way that lines up with what matters most to you. Not just, for today, but consistently over your lifetime.
So it's your why, the reason you drag yourself out of bed in the morning, driven by something that feels significant, something just a bit beyond maybe your immediate needs or wants.
Exactly. And that's where you see the big difference compared to just fleeting pleasure. Pleasure is that quick hit, right? The sugar rush, buying something new, temporary treat. Feels good now, sure, but it fades pretty fast. Purpose, though, seems to offer this deeper, more sustainable kind of fulfillment, like a slow burn, a steady anchor.
That distinction feels really key. Pleasure is kind of reactive, maybe, but purpose feels more proactive, grounded.
And the science on why it matters. I mean, that's where things get really compelling. The impact goes way beyond just, feeling a bit better inside.
Oh, absolutely. I was genuinely kind of blown away by how strong the findings were, especially on physical health. Study after study seems to link having a strong sense of purpose to better physical outcomes. People with purpose, they tend to report fewer health problems, and they seem to just naturally live healthier lives.
Yeah, there was one statistic that really jumped out from the research. It was quite powerful. Individuals with a higher sense of purpose, they showed a 46% reduced risk of mortality over a 4-year period. That's compared to those with the lowest purpose scores. Just think about that.
46% reduced risk of dying.
Yeah. The sources are suggesting that's a health benefit that's, it's comparable to, or sometimes even more significant than, not smoking or exercising regularly. Your why might literally be adding years to your life.
Oh, wow. 46%. Yeah. That's incredible. Did the research give any clues about how does purpose translate into that kind of, biological benefit?
They point to a few potential pathways. For one, it seems linked to lower levels of inflammation in the body. And we know inflammation drives a lot of chronic diseases. It's also associated with the reduced risk of specific things like cardiovascular problems, even dementia.
And I guess maybe a purposeful life often means staying engaged, more social, sticking to routines, all stuff that supports general health anyway.
Precisely. And it's not just the physical side. Mentally, emotionally, a strong sense of purpose is like a powerful buffer. It's consistently associated with significantly better mental health. Less stress, less anxiety, less depression, gives you that steady motivation, a deeper kind of contentment.
And the flip side is true too, right? Feeling like you lack purpose. That can really contribute to feeling stuck, unmotivated, or just, generally dissatisfied, like a vital ingredient is missing from the mix.
And then there's the cognitive angle, which is also fascinating. Purpose seems to act almost like a shield for your brain health. People with higher purpose, they tend to perform better on tests. Things measuring memory, executive function. One study even connected higher purpose scores with reduced epigenetic aging, right down at the cellular level.
Okay, hold on. Epigenetic aging. What does that mean in plain English?
Right. So think of your genes like the computer hardware. Epigenetics, that's more like the software telling the genes what to do and when. These epigenetic changes happen over time, influenced by lifestyle and stuff. They're markers of your biological age, which isn't always the same as your age in years. So reduced epigenetic aging basically suggests that people with purpose might have biological markers on their DNA that actually look younger, or are aging slower at that really fundamental cellular level.
So it's not just feeling younger, your cells might literally be showing signs of aging slower. That is mind-blowing.
It really is. And the theory kind of loops back to that engagement you mentioned. A purposeful life often pushes you to learn new things, stay connected socially, solve problems, all activities that build up what they call cognitive reserve, basically giving your brain more resilience, more capacity.
Okay. And life inevitably throws curveballs at us. How does purpose fit in there?
Resilience. That's
Yeah.
a huge piece of this. Having that guiding light, knowing your why, it really helps you persevere when things get tough. Challenges come up. When it feels difficult, purpose reminds you what's important. It gives you a reason to keep going, even when you really feel like stopping.
It helps you reframe things too, right? Instead of just seeing a failure, maybe you see it as, I don't know, a difficult step or just a necessary detour on the path towards something that actually matters to you. One source pointed out something interesting. Sometimes the stress or difficulty is part of pursuing something worthwhile. Feeling challenged doesn't automatically mean you're off track.
Such a key insight, yeah. The absence of discomfort isn't the goal here. Sometimes meaningful stuff is just plain hard.
Okay, so hearing all the science about why purpose is so vital, the big question becomes, what does this mean for you listening right now? How do you actually find this or cultivate it? Especially if you feel like maybe you're missing it at the moment.
Well, the sources are pretty consistent on this point.
Yeah.
Purpose isn't usually something you just suddenly stumble upon, fully formed. It's much more often something that's cultivated, discovered, built over time. It's really a journey, and it can absolutely shift and evolve as you go through different life stages.
So where do you even start that cultivation process? What's step one?
Self-reflection seems to be the bedrock, really starting by identifying your core values. What beliefs truly guide your life? What principles are non-negotiable for you? Think about things like honesty, maybe generosity, creativity, connection, family, learning, justice. What really matters most?
And asking yourself those reflective questions helps too, I imagine. Like, what moments in your life have felt most meaningful or alive? And conversely, when have you felt least satisfied? Or what makes you properly angry about the world? Sometimes that frustration points right at a cause you care deeply about.
Exactly. And also explore your passions, your interests. What activities make you lose track of time? What would you genuinely stand up and fight for? And, don't hesitate to ask people who know you well what they see in you. Sometimes others notice strengths or interests that we just take for granted in ourselves.
And the sources mentioned using tools as well, which I thought was practical. Things like personality assessments could offer clues, or mindfulness practices maybe, or even just simple exercises like imagining your ideal day.
Yes, that ideal day exercise. It's not about creating some impossible fantasy, though. It's about looking for the underlying clues. Like, if your ideal day involves hiking deep in the mountains, maybe the core values or desires are about awe, adventure, connecting with nature, or just needing that unplugged time.
Okay. So you reflect, you get a clearer sense of values, interests, what's next, put it into action.
Action, yes. This is crucial. You really don't need to wait for some grand revelation. Start putting those values into action, even in really small ways right now. Look at your daily life, your calendar. Where are your values already showing up? And where could you maybe weave them in a bit more consciously?
Can you give an example of weaving them in small ways?
Sure. Let's say you identify that you really value connection deeply. Maybe you make a conscious effort today to just smile and say hello to 3 strangers you pass.
Yeah.
Or send a thoughtful text message to a friend you haven't spoken to in a while. Small things. If you value creativity but feel totally overwhelmed by some big project, just commit to 10 minutes. 10 minutes of journaling or sketching or whatever it is. Small, consistent actions, they build momentum. They start aligning your actual lived experience with your why.
That makes a lot of sense. It's integration, not necessarily revolution overnight.
Exactly. And building on that, maybe set some meaningful goals aligned with those values and passions. And remember, these don't have to be massive, career-defining things. They can be personal goals related to learning, community, health, relationships. If a goal feels too big, too daunting, break it right down. Tiny steps, research steps, discovery steps. And the sources also suggest really looking at your fears about pursuing these goals. What's holding you back? Acknowledge it.
Another big pathway that seemed to come up again and again in the sources was connection with others.
Absolutely. Purpose very often involves contributing something beyond just yourself. Now, this doesn't mean you have to, save the world single-handedly, not at all. It could be through your family, your close relationships, parenting, grandparenting counts hugely.
Yeah.
Building community with people who share your values, volunteering your time, supporting a cause you believe in.
It sounds like that act of giving back or contributing to something bigger than just you, that's a really potent source of meaning.
The research strongly backs that up.
Yeah.
That sense of achievement, that fulfillment you get from engaging with others, whether it's family bonds, partnerships, community stuff, it's powerfully linked to high well-being. Serving something beyond your own immediate needs, it just creates this deep sense of meaning. And it can create this wonderful ripple effect, too. Joy in your life and maybe in the lives of others.
So reflection, action, goals, connection. What else is important in this process?
I think embracing the fluctuations is key. Your sense of purpose, or just like your mood, it isn't necessarily going to be this constant, unwavering state. It can vary day to day, week to week. That's perfectly normal. Don't let those moments where you feel a bit lost or unmotivated derail you completely.
Right. Like acknowledge the feeling perhaps, but don't let it define everything or stop you from gently returning to your why.
Precisely. Staying connected to your purpose, especially when times are tough, can be such a powerful lifeline. And practicing things like gratitude and self-acceptance along the way, that's really key too.
And does this change much as we get older? Do our sources of purpose shift?
Oh, definitely. The sources really highlight how purpose often evolves with different life stages. What feels deeply purposeful when you're, say, in your 20s, maybe focused on education, launching a career, that might naturally shift in midlife, maybe towards raising a family, community roles, deepening certain relationships. And then later in life, purpose might be found in things like grandparenting, mentoring younger people, volunteering, learning new skills just for the joy of it, sharing wisdom. Someone even suggested thinking about purpose planning alongside financial retirement planning, which I thought was very smart. What's going to motivate you and provide meaning across all these different phases?
That's a fantastic point. It's not just about having enough money saved up. It's about having enough reasons to live fully.
Exactly. And finally, it's important to recognize just how diverse the sources of fulfillment can be. People find it in so many areas. Relationships, absolutely. Their occupation, especially if they see their work as more of a calling than just a job. Continuous learning, personal development, connecting with nature could be huge for some people. Spirituality or religion, though, as the sources note, the impact there is very personal. It varies a lot. Even just embracing and overcoming challenges or achieving specific goals you set for yourself.
The sources even got a bit philosophical too, didn't they?
Yes, which adds another interesting layer. Some philosophical views basically suggest that life might not come with inherent meaning built in, so individuals have to actively create their own, which can be empowering, right? But it can also maybe bring some anxiety if you're struggling with that creation process. Then other philosophies, like many religious frameworks, offer a kind of predefined meaning that can provide immense comfort and stability for many people. But, again, might present challenges if doubts arise. It's a really complex, deeply personal landscape.
So bringing this all together then, it feels abundantly clear from everything we've looked at. Purpose isn't some luxury item. It's not just a nice-to-have feel-good concept.
No, it seems to be a truly fundamental driver of physical health, mental and emotional well-being, cognitive sharpness, resilience.
And it's personal, it's dynamic, it changes, and it seems deeply rooted in living your values and finding ways to contribute somehow beyond just yourself.
And cultivating it. It's an active process. It takes intentional self-reflection, sure, but also taking action, small steps, big steps aligned with your values, connecting with others in meaningful ways, and just embracing the whole journey, really, ups and downs included.
So to kind of recap the core idea here, finding and living your purpose seems absolutely key to a deeply fulfilling life, and potentially a longer and healthier one too.
Definitely. And given that really powerful link between purpose and longevity, especially as we get older, maybe here's a provocative thought to leave you with. How might consciously seeking out new sources of purpose now, rather than waiting until later life stages, how might that fundamentally change the whole trajectory? Not just of your happiness, but maybe your physical health span too.
Yeah. What small step did you take today? Just one tiny action to align with a value you hold dear, or maybe contribute in some small way that feels truly meaningful to you.